There was a fan for Fucus vesiculosus. I'm glad I pronounced that correctly. Rory MacPhee would certainly be a member. He holds a licence to harvest seaweed on the Lizard in Cornwall, where he slides among the slippery rocks, snipping and gathering the abundant marine macroalgae. We followed him as he set off to raid the Lizard's larder of légumes de la mer.
I'm standing overlooking this amazing secret beach on the Cornish coastline. I'm surrounded by yellow flowers. Just down there is the beach with these flat rocks and then the shingle and the pebbles, and that gives way to the green of a seaweed which we call Ulva intestinalis, and then I can see the bladderwrack, the Fucus vesiculosus, and the waves lapping around the rocks. So I think I'm going to go down there, do a bit of tasting and do a bit of picking. About 3 years ago, I was lecturing in marine law, and students would come up to me and say, "Rory, what's this?" And they'd put a bit of seaweed in front of my eyes, and I would send them off begrudgingly to some wonk in a white coat in the lab. And then I'd feel real bad that I was pontificating about the legal aspects of marine conservation and really didn't know much about what was living. And that was the start of my journey. Many times I ask myself, why is it that I've focused on seaweed, or macroalgae as we prefer to call it, rather than fish or marsh samphire? To me, seaweed is a hugely generous creature. It lines up in rows on the intertidal. There's no chaos, there's no mess. And it's as if they're all just saying, come and pick me, come and eat me. You can have seaweed pasties, you can have seaweed salad, you can have seaweed clam bakes. It's just incredible, the versatility of use, because the health benefits and the nutritional benefits of having seaweed in your diet are immense. Many people don't appreciate that this smelly, stinky stuff inhabiting our beaches in Cornwall is actually a medicine chest, is a food larder in its own right. There are many types of seaweed. Some people say there's about 35,000 varieties around the world. I only concentrate on 8 or 10 varieties, and each variety is different. There are greens and there's reds and there's browns. Some you can nibble fresh, some you can put in bread, and some you can put in your bath and get rid of those aches and pains and, dare I say it, cellulite. Picking of seaweed is governed by the moon. I have to pick at low water on what we call spring tides, which occur twice a month when there's a new moon or a full moon. So when there's a new or a full moon, I jump in my white van with my scissors and my trugs, my wellies and my wetsuit and my day-glow jacket. I try to make sure that I only drink water before I go seaweeding, that I arrive on the coast hungry. That means I can nibble the seaweed and do my own little bit of quality control. Before I start lightly cutting the seaweed, I say a little Celtic prayer, which is from the Western Isles, and that's part of what we call the Carmina Gaelica, the songs of the Gaels, and these are from pre-Christian times. And by saying this prayer, I calm myself down and I acknowledge the bounty of what the earth and the sea gives me. May the glory of the seas be thine, may the glory of the earth be thine, and may the glory of the heavens be thine. And that will allow me to thank bounteous nature and carry on picking. At the top of the tide line, I can collect bladderwrack, or Fucus vesiculosus. Most people know what this is. It's the seaweed with bladders, with bubbles in it, that when it's dry we like to pop. This amazing being, this amazing creature, it reproduces sexually. So I'm holding up something. I'm just going to nibble that. So for want of a better word, that's the sex organs of this particular algae. And eggs will flow out, as will sperm with little flagella, and they'll glide to the rocks and settle on the rocks, meet and mate, and that's how we get more bladderwrack. And it's full of goodness. They say it's got stuff called fucoidin in it, which has the same characteristics as mother's breast milk, so that's amazingly good for your immune system. Also, at the top of the tide line, there's some seaweed called Ascophyllum nodacum, often shortened to Asco or egg rack. And the cows that come down onto beaches and the sheep, they just love this. And pound for pound, this has probably got more, well, I think it's got more zinc than oysters have. It probably needs boiling up for about 10 minutes to make into a salad, but it's good enough for me at the moment. I can't stop eating it. Absolutely delicious.